On May 13th, 1952, Ronald Necciai does something no one in professional baseball has ever done before. He strikes out 27 batters in a 9-inning game while pitching for the minor leagues. Here's the story behind this crazy moment in baseball history. Today,
before we dribble into today's episode, let's shoot some love for our sponsor, Sports Social Pro. If your team's social media presence is as empty as the bleachers at a preseason game, fear not. We're here to bring the fans roaring back. Whether you need a full court press or just a halftime pep talk, check us out at dailysportshistory.com/social and let's slam dunk your social media game.
welcome to Daily Sports History. I'm Ethan Reese, your guide to a rapid deep dive into sports history every day. Now, Ronald Necciai was a very raw baseball prospect with something that every baseball coach wanted, a blazing fastball. And when he was 18, he was scouted by the Pittsburgh Pirates and made his way into their farm system. But just like in the movie Major Leagues, he was a wild one. And he was sent to the Salisbury Pirates and the Salisbury Farmers his first year in the minor leagues, putting up a high ERA of 21 and not even recording an ERA while with the Shelby Pirates. He would either walk or strike him out. There was no in between. But the next year, he was sent to Double-A to work with a pitching specialist, Rip Swell, who was an ex-big league pitcher who was known for developing the very slow Epis pitch, which looks similar to a slow pitch softball. Although Ronald did not have a slow pitch, he had curveball along with his blazing fastball. But that didn't mean that he had a great season either. In 1951, he walked 129 batters in 139 innings. And on average for the major leagues, they like to be under a third per inning, and he was close to 1. But with his blazing speed, he got the nickname Rocket Ron. And when you have a blazing fastball, teams are always going to try to capture the speed and use it to their advantage. And that's exactly what the Pirates did. They brought him into the spring training the next year, despite his challenges. But Ronald had an issue that he had dealt with his entire life. He had stomach ulcers, and doctors really didn't have a good way to deal with them at the time. And they would pop up at times, and he would have to gut his way through it. And that's exactly what happened during spring training. And he was taken to see a doctor, and the team even asked if he would feel even comfortable playing that season after seeing the amount of pain he was in. But Ronald said, "I am still playing." And so that year, they sent him to the Appalachian League to play for the Bristol Twins. And this is where Rocket Ronald caught fire. For some reason, his control started to come. And in his debut, he struck out 20 and only walking 4. The next game, he struck out 19. Then following that, he came in for relief roles 3 days later and struck out 11. But he was still struggling with his stomach ulcers, and in every game, he was drinking milk beforehand to try to settle his stomach and taking any kind of medication he could at the time. And on May 13th, 1952, he had terrible pain, but he wanted to pitch and was drinking milk in between innings. But this night, he was about to do something no one had ever seen before on a baseball field. Strike out 27 batters in a 9-inning game. And Ronald didn't even realize how many he was striking out. He realized he was having a pretty good game, as he had only hit one guy and walked one guy and had a couple guys get on base on an error, but he didn't realize the success he was having. And his catcher, Harry Dunlap, who played 14 years in the minor leagues, very similar to Kevin Costner's character in Bull Durham, and he would always say that Rocket Ron threw harder than anyone he had caught before, and his curveball would always catch them off guard. And they suspected in that one game, Rocket Ronald threw 200 pitches. And catching a game for Ronald wasn't easy, as he was wild, so the catcher was moving all over the place to make sure the balls didn't get past him. And he wouldn't strike out players with 3 straight pitches, go deep into the count to get a strikeout. And when the game ended, Rocket Ronald had pitched his first no-hitter, but allowed 4 people to get on base from a hit batter, an error, a drop third strike, and 1 walk. And despite the team just trying to bunt at balls to make it to first base, he would still strike them out and getting to 27 strikeouts, which means he struck out 3 players every inning. But Ronald wasn't done. Actually, the next game struck out 24, setting a record for 51 strikeouts in 2 games. And he was on a tear the rest of his time with the Bristol Twins. He continued his dominance and struck out a league-high 176 batters in just 2 months. And after this great streak in the minors, he finally got what every baseball player dreamed of, his chance to pitch in the majors at just 20 years old. But his lightning in a bottle he had was starting to fade, as hitters in the major leagues are a little bit better than the minors. And his rookie year, he went 1-6 with a 7.08 ERA, striking out 31 and walking 32. But unfortunately, after that season, he was drafted into the Korean War. Although he was discharged later due to his stomach ulcer problems, it took him a while to get back into shape for baseball, and he actually tore his rotator cuff and lost the speed he had on his fastball. And by 1955, due to his shoulder injury and his stomach ulcers, he was out of baseball forever, never making it back to the major leagues. But he didn't let this stop him. He continued a career outside of baseball in the sporting goods industry, making a good career still in sports, but just in a different way. But he will always be remembered for what he did on that one day, striking out 27 in one game, a record that has never been beat at any level of professional baseball. And one thing we need to always remember is that we don't know when our shot's going to come. So whenever you're given the chance, go all out for it, because it could all be over within an instant, and we need to keep going, because Rocket Ronald didn't have a very long chance to make it in the major leagues, and due to circumstances beyond his control, it didn't last long. So we always need to give our all whenever we're given our opportunity to have success. And I want to give you the opportunity to show your love for our show by leaving us a review wherever you're listening. It means a lot to me whenever I see a review, and just know you're putting a smile on my face every time. And if you send me a screenshot of your review, we'll send you a little something special. So send those screenshots at dailysportshistory@gmail.com. And come back tomorrow for more Daily Sports History.